Jack Cooper stared at the computer screen in front of him, his coffee growing cold beside the keyboard. Something wasn't right about the signals he was seeing. After 8 years as a Marine and 3 years working at the Global Space Monitoring Station, he had never seen anything like this. The strange peaks in the signal pattern kept appearing every 6 hours. At first, his coworkers had laughed it off as satellite interference. But Cooper knew better. These signals were too precise, too regular. "Sir, you need to see this," he called out to his supervisor. The pattern changed again. Across the vast darkness of space, Imperial Commander Du Hyun stood on the bridge of his scout ship, the Starseeker. His dark uniform fit perfectly, just like everything else in the Empire. He looked down at Earth through the ship's viewing screen, his face showing no emotion. "Report," he ordered. Captain Sumin stepped forward, holding a datapad. "The planet shows signs of early space travel capability. They have primitive satellites and a small space station. But something is unusual, Commander." Do Hyun raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "Their military advancement is concerning. They've developed nuclear weapons, and their rate of technological progress is far above normal for their development stage." The commander walked to the main viewing window, watching the blue planet spin slowly below them. Their cloaking technology kept them hidden from Earth's basic sensors, or so they thought. Back on Earth, Cooper was printing out the signal data. His time in the Marines had taught him to trust his gut. And right now, his gut was screaming that something big was about to happen. He ran his hand through his short hair, still kept in the same military style even after leaving the service. "Look at this pattern," he explained to his supervisor. "It repeats too perfectly to be natural. And it's moving like a ship would move, maintaining orbit." His supervisor frowned at the papers. "That's impossible. Our satellites would have spotted anything up there." "Unless," Cooper said, "they don't want to be spotted." On the Starseeker, Du Hyun received a priority message from the Imperial High Council. He opened it on his private screen, his eyes widening slightly as he read. "Captain," he called out, "we've been discovered." Sumin looked up in shock. "Impossible. Our cloaking technology is far beyond their capabilities." "Apparently not," Du Hyun said, pointing to the signal analysis. "They've been tracking our communication bursts. Primitive, but clever." There was a hint of respect in his voice. Cooper was called into an emergency meeting at the Pentagon the next day. He sat in a room with generals and scientists, explaining what he had found. His Marine training helped him stay calm as he pointed out the patterns in the data. "In my opinion, sirs," he concluded, "we're being watched. And whoever's watching us is trying very hard not to be seen. That suggests they're either afraid of us, or they're planning something." The room fell silent. One of the generals leaned forward. "And your recommendation, Mr. Cooper?" Cooper straightened in his chair. "Prepare for anything, sir. In the Marines, we learned that the quiet before the storm is often the most dangerous time." Back in space, Du Hyun sent his final report to the Imperial High Council. "The humans have detected our presence. They are more observant than we expected. Awaiting further orders." The response came quickly. "Continue monitoring. Assessment phase complete soon. Prepare for next phase." Do Hyun looked down at Earth again. In his 1,000 years of service to the Empire, he had never seen a primitive species detect their presence so quickly. These humans were either incredibly lucky or dangerously clever. He suspected it was the latter. Cooper left the Pentagon meeting feeling uneasy. As he drove home, he looked up at the night sky. Years of combat had given him a sixth sense for danger, and every instinct told him that humanity was about to face its greatest challenge. He didn't know it yet, but his Marine training was about to become more valuable than ever. The Imperial High Council chamber glowed with soft blue light from the massive holograms floating in the air. Grand Executor Jeho stood at the center, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the polished floor. The reports from Earth floated around him in glowing text. "The humans have discovered our presence far too quickly," he announced to the council. This proves they are more dangerous than we thought. Young diplomat Hansol stepped forward, his hands clasped behind his back. With respect, Grand Executor, this could be an opportunity. Their awareness shows intelligence. We could make peaceful contact. Silence. Jaiho's voice echoed through the chamber. You are too young to remember the last war. Primitive species with nuclear weapons are too dangerous to be left alone. Down on Earth, Cooper sat in his apartment, watching the news. Every channel showed the same thing. Strange signals appearing worldwide. His phone rang. It was his old Marine commander. Cooper, we need you back, the voice said. Something big is coming. Report to base tomorrow at 600. In space, Commander Do-hyun received new orders. He read them twice, his face growing darker each time. Captain Soo-min waited nervously beside him. Sir, Soo-min asked, what are our orders? The council has made their decision. Do-hyun said quietly, we are to begin the war declaration protocol. Back in the council chamber, Hansol made one last attempt. Grand Executor, please. I've studied Earth's transmissions. They have art, music, literature. They're not just warriors. They have thousands of nuclear weapons pointed at each other. Jaiho cut him off. They fight endless wars among themselves. Imagine what they would do to us if they reached the stars. The council members nodded in agreement. Hansol looked down at his feet, defeated. Cooper arrived at the Marine base early the next morning. The place was buzzing with activity. Soldiers ran back and forth. Officers shouted orders, and vehicles moved in all directions. Good to have you back, Staff Sergeant, his old commander said, handing him a uniform. We've got reports of unusual activity in orbit. Multiple objects, all cloaked. Big ones. On the Starseeker, Do-hyun prepared the declaration broadcast. It would be sent in all Earth languages, on all frequencies. He read over the text one last time. People of Earth, your rapid advancement and violent nature have been deemed a threat to galactic peace. The Imperial Council hereby declares your civilization to be in violation of Security Protocol 7. You have one planetary rotation to surrender your nuclear weapons and submit to Imperial rule. Resistance will be met with appropriate force. Hansol watched from his quarters as the declaration was sent. He had studied humans more than anyone else in the Empire. He knew what was coming. They won't surrender, he whispered to himself. They can't. It's not in their nature. Cooper was in the command center when the message came through. Every screen, every radio, every TV channel, all showing the same thing. The room fell silent as the declaration played. His commander turned to him. Cooper, what do you think? Cooper stood straight, his jaw set firm. They're making 3 big mistakes, sir. First, they're threatening us. Second, they're giving us time to prepare. And third, he smiled slightly, they have no idea what they're dealing with. In orbit, Do-hyun watched the responses pour in from Earth. Instead of fear or surrender, he saw determination. Military forces worldwide were mobilizing. The humans were preparing to fight. Fascinating, he muttered. They mean to resist. Soo-min looked worried. But sir, they must know they can't win. Our technology is centuries ahead of theirs. Perhaps, Do-hyun said, remembering Cooper's signal detection. But I suspect they don't care about the odds. The Grand Executor's voice came through the ship's speakers. Begin invasion preparations. Show these primitives the power of the Empire. On Earth, Cooper checked his rifle and looked at his fellow Marines. They all knew what was coming. But they weren't afraid. They were Marines, and Marines never back down from a fight. The sky turned orange as hundreds of Imperial dropships entered Earth's atmosphere. Captain Soo-min led the first wave, confident in their superior technology. His ship carried 30 of the Empire's best soldiers, each wearing armor that could stop any human weapon. Remember, Soo-min told his troops, these are primitives. Their weapons are basic. This will be an easy victory. On the ground, Cooper and his Marine unit watched the ships descend. They had set up defensive positions outside their base in Virginia. Unlike other units using heavy weapons, Cooper had his team carry only light gear. "Sir, shouldn't we have bigger guns?" a young Marine asked. Cooper shook his head. "Speed and surprise, Johnson. That's how we're going to win this." He looked at his team. "Remember your training. Let them think they've won, then hit them where it hurts." The first Imperial dropship landed in a cloud of dust. Su Min's troops marched out in perfect formation, their white armor gleaming. They looked like giants compared to the humans. "Scan for resistance," Su Min ordered. His soldiers activated their advanced sensors. Cooper watched through his binoculars. "Look at that formation," he whispered to his team. "No cover, no scouts. They really think we're stupid." He grabbed his radio. "All units, hold position. Wait for my signal." More dropships landed. The Imperial troops spread out, moving like they were on a parade ground rather than a battlefield. Their sensors showed no threats. Cooper had made sure of that. His team had studied the alien sensors and found their weakness. They only looked for energy signatures and heat. "Sir," one of Su Min's soldiers reported, "no enemy forces detected. The humans appear to have retreated." Su Min smiled. "Just as expected. These primitives know they can't win. Move forward and secure the base." That's when Cooper sprung his trap. "Now," he shouted into his radio. Dozens of Marines burst from hidden holes in the ground, covered in cold mud that had hidden them from the alien sensors. They moved fast, just like Cooper had taught them. Before the Imperial troops could react, the Marines were among them. "Impossible," Su Min shouted as chaos erupted. His perfect formation broke apart. The Imperial armor was strong, but Cooper's team had trained for this. They didn't shoot at the armor. They aimed for the joints, the sensors, the spots where the plates met. Marines grabbed Imperial soldiers and pulled them down into the mud, where their fancy technology didn't work so well. "Adapt and overcome," Cooper yelled, remembering his training motto. He tackled an Imperial soldier, using the alien's weight against him. The Marine hand-to-hand combat training proved more useful than any fancy weapon. Su Min watched in horror as his troops fell. These humans didn't fight like primitives. They fought like warriors who had spent their whole lives preparing for this moment. "Retreat," Su Min ordered. "Back to the ships." But it was too late. Cooper's team had already disabled their engines using simple explosive charges. In orbit, Commander Du Hyun received the distress calls. "What do you mean they're losing? They have superior weapons, superior armor." "Sir," a communications officer reported, "the humans, they're not fighting like we expected. They're using primitive but effective tactics. Our troops don't know how to respond." Cooper's team secured their victory. They had captured 3 dropships and taken several Imperial soldiers prisoner. More importantly, they had shown that humanity wouldn't be an easy target. "Good work, Marines," Cooper said, looking at his mud-covered team. Some were bruised, a few had minor injuries, but all of them wore proud smiles. "This is just the beginning. Now we show them what the Corps is really made of." In the Imperial High Council chamber, Grand Executor Jiho received the news with rage. How dare these primitives resist? Launch the full invasion force. But Hansol, watching from the side, smiled slightly. He had studied humans well enough to know this was exactly what they were best at, fighting against impossible odds and winning. Cooper walked around the captured Imperial dropship, studying every inch of it. His team had successfully taken 3 ships, but this one was special. It was Captain Su Min's command vessel. The Imperial captain now sat in a holding cell, still shocked by his defeat. Military scientist Jin Woo arrived at the base, carrying his testing equipment. He looked at the alien ship with wide eyes. "This is amazing," he said, touching the smooth metal hull. "Their technology is unlike anything we've seen." "Can you make it work?" Cooper asked. Jin Woo nodded slowly. "The controls are complex, but the basic principles seem similar to our aircraft. Give me 2 days." In orbit, Commander Do-hyun faced a difficult conversation with Grand Executor Jai-ho. The hologram of the Empire's leader looked furious. "You lost 3 ships to primitives." Jai-ho's voice boomed. "Explain yourself." "Sir, these humans, they're different," Do-hyun said carefully. "They don't fight like other species we've conquered. They adapt quickly, and their Marines are exceptionally well trained." "Marines?" Jai-ho asked. "What are these Marines?" "An elite fighting force," Do-hyun explained. "They're trained to win against superior enemies, and they're very good at it." Back on Earth, Jin-woo made a breakthrough. He called Cooper to the lab he had set up near the captured ships. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the ship's control panel. "Their technology runs on simple touch commands. We can use it." Cooper smiled. "How long until we can fly it?" "We already can," Jin-woo answered. "But that's not the best part." He pressed a button, and a holographic map appeared. This shows all their ship positions and their attack plans. Cooper immediately called his commander. Within an hour, the base was filled with top military officials. Jin-woo explained what they had found, while Cooper formed a plan. "We can use their own ships against them," Cooper said, pointing to the map. "They won't expect that." In his cell, Soo-min watched the humans work. He had thought them primitive, but now he saw his mistake. They learned faster than any species he had ever seen. What took other races years to understand, these humans figured out in days. "How did you defeat us?" he finally asked Cooper during an interrogation. Cooper sat across from him. "You relied too much on your technology. We relied on our training and ability to adapt. That's what Marines do. We use whatever works, no matter how simple or advanced." The news got better. Jin-woo discovered how to duplicate the Imperial shield technology. "Their shields aren't that complicated," he explained. "We can modify our own equipment to work the same way." Cooper's team began training other units. They showed them how to fight the Imperial troops, where to hit their armor, how to avoid their sensors. More importantly, they taught them to think differently. "Forget everything you know about fighting a superior force," Cooper told the gathered soldiers. "These aliens think their technology makes them invincible. That's their weakness. We'll show them what happens when they underestimate United States Marines." In the Imperial fleet, doubt began to spread. More ships reported losses. The humans were learning, adapting, using Imperial technology against them. Do-hyun watched the reports come in with growing concern. "Sir," his new captain reported, "the humans have begun using our own shield technology. They've modified it to work with their weapons." Do-hyun nodded slowly. "They learned too fast. We must change our approach." But it was too late. Cooper's team had already begun their next operation. They had loaded the captured dropship with a specially trained team. While the Empire worried about Earth's defenses, the Marines were preparing to take the fight to them. "Remember," Cooper told his team as they boarded the alien ship, "we're Marines. The impossible is what we do best." Jin-woo watched them prepare for launch. The Empire thought they were attacking primitives, he said to himself. Instead, they just gave us the tools we needed to beat them. The captured Imperial dropship rose quietly through Earth's atmosphere. Cooper and his team sat in the cargo hold, wearing modified Imperial armor. Jin-woo had helped them reprogram it to show them as Imperial soldiers on enemy scanners. "Remember the plan," Cooper said to his team. "We get in, find their battle plans, and get out. Simple and quick." Above them, the massive Imperial carrier Starhammer floated in space. It was their target, the command ship for the entire invasion force. As their dropship approached, Cooper thought about how crazy this mission would have seemed just a week ago. "Imperial dropship 247, state your purpose." A voice came through their radio. "Returning from surface patrol," Cooper replied, using the codes they had learned from Captain Soo-min. "Requesting emergency landing. Ship damaged by human weapons." The carrier's landing bay opened. Cooper's hands tightened on his weapon. This was the dangerous part. Inside the carrier, Imperial Officer Yun, he watched the damaged dropship land. Something felt wrong about it, but she couldn't say what. She walked to the landing bay, curious. The dropship's door opened, and Imperial troops walked out. Yun He noticed their movements were different, more fluid, more natural than the stiff Imperial style. "You there," she called out. "Stop." Cooper froze. This wasn't part of the plan. The Imperial officer walked closer, her eyes narrow with suspicion. But instead of raising an alarm, Yun He whispered, "You're human, aren't you?" Cooper's team raised their weapons, but Yun He held up her hands. "Wait. I want to help. This war is wrong." "Why should we trust you?" Cooper asked quietly. "Because I studied your people," she replied. "You're not the primitives the Empire thinks you are. You deserve a chance to prove it." Cooper made a quick decision. In the Marines, he had learned to trust his instincts about people. "We need to reach the command center." Yun He nodded. "I can get you there. Follow me, but act natural. Walk stiff, like you have a rod in your back." They moved through the carrier's corridors. Cooper was amazed by the size of the ship. Everything was clean, orderly, and cold. No personal touches, no signs of individual life. "The battle plans are in the main computer," Yun He explained as they walked. "But security is tight." "We have a solution for that," Cooper said, patting the bag of equipment Jinwoo had given them. They'd reached the command center's outer door. Yun He used her access card to open it. Inside, Imperial officers worked at their stations, none of them looking up. Cooper's team moved quickly. They planted Jinwoo's devices on the computer terminals. The small machines began copying everything: battle plans, ship locations, weapon specifications. Suddenly, an alarm blared. "Intruders detected," the voice announced. "Time's up," Cooper shouted. "Move." They ran for the exit, but Imperial troops were already closing in. Yun He pointed to a different corridor. "This way. There's another landing bay." As they ran, Cooper activated Jinwoo's last surprise, a virus that shut down the carrier's internal security systems. Doors slammed shut randomly, trapping Imperial soldiers behind them. "Impressive," Yun He said as they ran. "Your scientist is very clever." They reached the second landing bay and found another dropship. Cooper's team quickly boarded it, and Yun He joined them. "I can't stay here now," she said. "They'll know I helped you." As they escaped from the carrier, Imperial ships tried to stop them, but the battle plans were already transmitted to Earth. Jinwoo would have everything he needed. "Mission accomplished," Cooper said, looking at his team. Then he turned to Yun He. "Thank you for helping us." She smiled. "The Empire needs to learn that being advanced doesn't make you superior. Maybe humans can teach them that lesson." Back on the carrier, Commander Do-hyun watched the stolen dropship escape. He picked up his communicator to report to Grand Executor Jeho. The humans had done the impossible again. They had not only infiltrated an Imperial carrier, but also escaped with vital information. The war was about to change. Jinwoo stood in front of a room full of military leaders, his hand shaking slightly as he held up a piece of Imperial technology. Thanks to the data Cooper's team had stolen, they now understood how the Empire's weapons worked. "It's actually quite simple," Jinwoo explained. "Their shields aren't magic. They just use a different kind of energy than we do. And now we can copy it." Cooper sat in the back of the room, watching proudly. In just 2 weeks, humans had learned more about advanced technology than the Empire thought possible. Workers in factories across the world were already building new weapons based on Jinwoo's discoveries. "Show them the best part," Cooper called out. Jinwoo smiled and pressed a button on the device. A shield of blue energy appeared around him. "We've made it better," he said. "The Imperial shields only stop energy weapons. Ours stop everything." In orbit, Commander Do-hyun received more disturbing reports. Human fighters were now appearing with shield technology. Worse, they were improving on Imperial designs. "This is impossible," Sumin said from his new cell on the Starhammer. After his capture, the Empire had rescued him, but now he was under arrest for his failure. How can they learn so fast? Because we made a mistake, Do-hyun replied. We thought technology made us superior. We forgot that innovation comes from necessity. On Earth, Cooper trained more Marine units in their new tactics. They practiced using the improved shields, learning to fight in ways the Empire would never expect. The Empire thinks in straight lines, Cooper told his students. They attack head-on. But Marines, we come in from all angles. We use everything we have. That's why we're winning. Jin-woo called Cooper to his lab one evening. The scientist had dark circles under his eyes from working long hours, but he was smiling. Look at this, he said, pointing to a screen showing Imperial ship designs. Their weapons all use the same power source. If we can disrupt it. He didn't need to finish the sentence. Cooper grinned. How soon can we test it? Tomorrow, Jin-woo replied. I already built a prototype. In the Imperial High Council chamber, Grand Executor Ja-ho was furious. How are these primitives defeating our best technology? He demanded. Han-sol stepped forward again, braver now. Because we keep underestimating them. They learn, adapt, and improve. Everything we use against them, they turn into a weapon for their side. On the testing range, Cooper watched as Jin-woo demonstrated his new device. A small pulse of energy shot out, and suddenly the Imperial shield they were testing flickered and died. It sends out a signal that overloads their power systems, Jin-woo explained. Simple, but effective. Just like Marines, Cooper said with pride. Simple solutions to complex problems. The next day, they tested the device in real combat. When Imperial ships attacked a Marine base in California, they found their shields and weapons suddenly useless. The Marines, using their improved shields, won easily. The Empire gave us the keys to their kingdom, Jin-woo said as they watched the battle reports. They just didn't know it. Do-hyun watched the defeats mount up. The humans weren't just copying Imperial technology anymore. They were making it better. Each failure taught them something new, and they learned fast. Sir, his aide reported, the humans have developed a way to shut down our shields. Do-hyun nodded slowly. Of course they have. And tomorrow they'll have something new. He turned to look at Earth through his window. We thought we were teaching them a lesson. Instead, they're teaching us. Cooper gathered his team that evening. Thanks to Jin-woo's work and Yun-hee's information, they were ready for the next phase of their plan. Tomorrow, he told them, we take the fight to their doorstep. The Empire wanted to see what humans could do. He picked up one of their new weapons. Let's show them. Earth's first attack on the Imperial fleet began at dawn. Hundreds of fighters rose from hidden bases around the world, all equipped with Jin-woo's improved shields and weapons. Cooper led the main assault team in a captured Imperial carrier that Yun-hee had helped them prepare. All units check in, Cooper called over the radio. His team was hidden inside cargo containers on the carrier, ready to strike. This is crazy enough to work, Yun-hee said from her position at the carrier's controls. She wore a Marine uniform now, having officially joined Earth's forces. In orbit, Commander Do-hyun noticed something strange about the Imperial carrier approaching his fleet. Its signal was correct, but something felt wrong. Sir, his sensor officer called out, we're detecting unusual power readings from that ship. Before Do-hyun could respond, the carrier's cargo bay doors opened. Instead of supplies, hundreds of human fighters poured out, already firing Jin-woo's shield-breaking weapons. Clever, Do-hyun said quietly. Very clever. The space battle was unlike anything in Imperial history. Human fighters moved in ways Imperial pilots had never seen, ignoring standard combat patterns. They attacked from all directions, using Earth's fighter combat techniques that the Empire had never encountered. Keep them confused, Cooper ordered as his team launched from the carrier. Don't let them predict your moves. Earth's ground forces launched their attack at the same time. Marines led assaults on Imperial ground bases, using their new weapons and tactics. The Empire's soldiers, trained to fight in perfect formation, couldn't handle the chaos of Marine combat. Jinwoo watched the battle from Earth's new command center. "Their shields are failing exactly as we planned," he reported. "They can't adapt fast enough." In the Imperial High Council chamber, Grand Executor Jiho received the battle reports with growing anger. "How dare they attack us? Launch our supercarrier." But Hansol had secretly sent warning of the supercarrier to Earth. Cooper's team was ready for it. The massive Imperial ship appeared through a jump point, bigger than anything humans had ever seen. Its weapons could destroy entire cities. "Now," Cooper ordered. Hundreds of small devices, designed by Jinwoo, attached themselves to the supercarrier's hull. Each one sent out the shield-breaking pulse, but tuned to a different frequency. "Their main shields are down," Yunhee reported. "All teams, attack." The supercarrier's crew panicked as their weapons and defenses failed. They had never faced an enemy who could disable their technology so easily. Do-hyun watched the battle turn against the Empire. He had studied human military history now, and he understood their strength. They had spent their entire history fighting against superior forces and winning. "Sir," his aide reported, "we're losing the supercarrier." "Of course we are," Do-hyun replied. "Because we still think like the Empire, and they think like warriors." Cooper's team led the boarding action on the supercarrier. Marines moved through its corridors like they had trained for this their whole lives. In a way they had, adapting, overcoming, improvising. "Clear," Cooper called out as they reached the bridge. "Engine room secured. Weapon control secured. The ship is ours." Earth's forces had won their first major victory. The Empire's main fleet was in retreat, their supercarrier captured, their ground forces in chaos. Jinwoo couldn't stop smiling as he looked at the battle reports. "We didn't just beat their technology," he said. "We made it better." In the High Council chamber, Jiho faced the truth at last. These humans weren't primitives. They were possibly the most dangerous species the Empire had ever encountered. "Sir," Hansol said, "perhaps it's time we considered a different approach." Cooper stood on the captured supercarrier's bridge, looking down at Earth. His team had done what the Empire thought impossible, but he knew this wasn't the end. "Good work, Marines," he said to his team. "But stay sharp. The real fight's just beginning." The Imperial High Council chamber erupted in chaos. Half the council members were shouting at Grand Executor Jiho, while the others demanded immediate action against Earth. "You led us into disaster," one council member yelled. "These humans have captured our best ship." Jiho's face was red with anger. "Then we will use the planet breaker. We'll show them true Imperial power." Hansol stepped forward, his voice clear above the noise. "The planet breaker will not solve our problem. It will only prove that the humans were right about us." On the captured supercarrier, now renamed Terra's Victory, Cooper received urgent news from Yunhee. She had decoded messages from her Imperial contacts. "They're going to use the planet breaker," she said, her face pale. "It's a weapon that can destroy entire worlds. Jiho has lost his mind." Cooper looked at his team. They had faced impossible odds before, but this was different. "How long do we have?" "The weapon is at their main base in the Centauri system. 3 days until it's ready." Jinwoo joined them through a hologram link. "I studied the Imperial weapons data. The planet breaker has one weakness. It needs enormous power to work. Then we'll shut it down," Cooper said simply. Marines didn't waste time talking about why they couldn't do something. They focused on getting it done. In the Imperial fleet, Commander Do-hyun made a difficult decision. He had seen enough death. Secretly, he contacted Hansol. "The Grand Executor has gone too far," Do-hyun said. "Many in the fleet agree. We need to stop him." Hansol nodded. "The humans have shown us a better way. They could have destroyed our ships, but they disable them instead. They take prisoners but treat them well. Cooper's team prepared for their most dangerous mission yet. They would take the Terra's victory to the Imperial base, using codes Yunhe had provided. "This is crazy," one of his Marines said during the briefing. "Being a Marine is crazy," Cooper replied with a smile. "That's why we win." The Imperial base was massive, built into an asteroid. The planet breaker hung in space nearby, its power core glowing with deadly energy. "Multiple ships approaching," Yunhe reported from her station. "But something's wrong. They're not attacking." Commander Du-hyun's voice came through their radio. "Earth forces, this is Commander Du-hyun. We are here to help. The Empire must change." Half the Imperial fleet had turned against Jeho. The Grand Executor had finally gone too far. Even his loyal guards were leaving him. "The planet breaker is powering up," Jinwoo warned through the comlink. "They're going to fire it." Cooper's team launched immediately. While Imperial ships fought each other, the Marines slipped through the chaos toward the superweapon. "Just like training," Cooper told his team as they boarded the planet breaker. "Simple and quick." They fought their way to the weapon's core. Imperial troops tried to stop them, but they had learned to fear Earth's Marines. The sight of Marine uniforms made many of them surrender immediately. In the High Council chamber, Jeho watched his power collapse. Han Sol led Council's security forces to arrest him. "You fool," Jeho spat. "They'll destroy everything we built." "No," Han Sol replied. "They'll help us build something better." Cooper's team reached the planet breaker's control room. Jinwoo guided them through shutting it down safely. The massive weapon powered down. Its threat ended forever. "The Empire's fleet is standing down," Yunhe reported happily. Du-hyun is in command now. Cooper looked at his team. Marines, Imperial defectors, and human scientists all working together. They had done more than save Earth. They had changed an empire. "Mission accomplished," he said. "But stay alert. There's still work to do." Han Sol arrived on the Terra's victory for emergency peace talks. The Empire was changing, and humanity would help guide that change. "We thought we were the teachers," Han Sol told Cooper. "But we were the students all along." 1 month after the planet breaker incident, Cooper stood in a large meeting room on the Terra's victory. The ship that had once symbolized Imperial power now hosted the peace talks between Earth and the Empire. Han Sol and Commander Du-hyun sat on one side of the table, wearing simplified versions of their Imperial uniforms. On the other side sat Earth's representatives, including Jinwoo and Cooper himself. "The Empire needs to change," Du-hyun said, looking at the document in front of him. "We see that now." Yunhe, who had become the official translator between the two groups, smiled as she read the peace terms. "Earth will share its defensive technology with the Empire. In return, the Empire will help Earth develop peaceful space travel." Cooper watched the former enemies work together. Just a few weeks ago, they had been trying to destroy each other. Now they were planning joint exploration missions. "Your Marines showed us something important," Han Sol said to Cooper. "Power isn't about having the best weapons. It's about having the best people." Jinwoo had set up a joint research center where human and Imperial scientists worked together. They learned from each other, combining Earth's creativity with Imperial technology. "Look at this," Jinwoo said excitedly, showing Cooper a new device. "We combined their power systems with our ideas. Now it's twice as effective and half the size." Outside the meeting room, Cooper found his old team training with Imperial soldiers. The Empire's troops were learning Marine combat techniques, while the Marines studied Imperial technology. "Never thought I'd see this," Cooper's young Marine, Johnson, said as he helped an Imperial soldier practice hand-to-hand combat. "But they're not bad people. Just needed to learn a few things." Su Min, the Imperial captain Cooper had captured in their first battle, was now working as a training officer. He had learned to respect Earth's warriors. "My greatest mistake was thinking technology makes a warrior," Su Min told his students. "These Marines showed us that the warrior makes the technology." On Earth, Cities were being rebuilt with Imperial help. The Empire's advanced construction methods helped repair the war damage in days instead of years. "We've got Marine bases on 3 Imperial worlds now," Cooper's commander told him. "They requested us specifically, said they want to learn how to be more like Marines." The former Grand Executor Jeho watched from his prison cell as his empire changed. The humans he had called primitives were now teaching his people a better way to live. "The Empire will survive," Han Solo told him during a visit. "But it will be different. Stronger. Because now we understand what real strength is." Cooper walked through the Terra's Victory one last time. The ship would soon become a training center, where humans and Imperials would learn to work together. "Think we'll ever have to fight them again?" Johnson asked. Cooper shook his head. "They learned something most enemies never do. Real power isn't about crushing others. It's about lifting them up." Yun-Hee joined them, wearing her new uniform that combined Imperial and Marine designs. "The first joint exploration mission leaves next week," she said. "They want you to lead it, Cooper." A Marine leading an Imperial ship. Cooper smiled. Times really have changed. In the Imperial capital, Do-Hyun and Han Solo watched their people embrace the changes. Imperial citizens were learning Earth's customs, while humans taught them about art, music, and new ways of thinking. "We thought we were superior," Do-Hyun said, "but we were just isolated. The humans showed us how much more we could be." Back on the ship, Cooper gathered his team for their new mission. Marines and Imperial troops stood together, ready to explore the galaxy as allies. "Remember," he told them, "we're not just Marines anymore. We're not just Imperial troops. We're something new, something better." As the joint mission prepared to launch, Cooper looked at Earth through the viewing window. The Empire had wanted to teach humanity a lesson. Instead, a few Marines had taught the Empire what real strength looked like. The war was over. The future was just beginning.